You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jen, and we're two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
We are both wedding vendors in Connecticut. I'm a wedding photographer and videographer.
And I am a mobile bar.
And today we wanted to talk about 3 things that we love about running our businesses, like our top 3 must-haves, I guess.
Yes. We haven't done an episode like this in a while. We've recently had some amazing guests on, and we recently had more of like an agenda. So today we just wanted to really go back to like what this podcast is about is just like figuring it out together and, you know, inspiring other people to become entrepreneurs. So today we wanted to really just share our top 3 faves that we came up with just like brainstorming. So I'm going to start. One of my top things is really the flexible hours to be able to be with my family. And what that means is I come from a corporate background where I was mostly 9 to 5, but I was commuting an hour and a half each way. And I was crazy. And I look back and I'm like, how did I do that? And now I just like, I can wake up gradually and, you know, like, yes, my kids are on a schedule and I'm on a schedule with them, but I'm doing that because, you know, we can.
Yeah.
And I just feel so like yesterday I went to the beach with my daughter and it was like the first like sunny day, and just being able to do that and like still work remotely from my phone and still be able to answer emails if I needed to. But like being at the beach because I want to, like we went to lunch and then we went to the beach and then, you know, we went back home and just like lounged for a little bit, and just like being able to do that, knowing that I can work when I want, where I want, is just so amazing. And like, yes, it's a little bit different because we do work weekends. But I choose to do that. And I choose to like have my weekdays be my thing with my family and my kids. And then weekends we work around, you know, our schedules. But I just remember like, when I was in corporate, driving my son, because I only had him at the time, to daycare, and dropping him off, leaving my house at like 6:45 in the morning, dropping him off at daycare, having someone else watch him all day long, and then picking him up at like 5:30 to get home for 6:30, sometimes after 7 because traffic is just so bad here, and then literally giving him dinner, giving him a tub, and putting him to bed. And reading him a book in between that. And it's like, I had this like aha moment where it was like, there has to be more to this than I'm getting right now.
Yeah.
And even in corporate, I worked weekends too. So I was working all week, then working weekends, and literally having no time with my family. And I just thought that that's like what you had to do kind of thing. So now just being able to like spend the day with my grandparents and bring the kids there, and like summer, like we're at my grandma's pool all summer while I'm working on my phone and she yells at me about it, but I like remind her that I'm working and I'm able to be here somewhat present, but also be working too. And I shut the phone off sometimes, but like I'm still able to do both kind of thing. So yeah, that's my first one.
I think that's huge. I think that's so huge. I think just with anything in life, if you ever feel like there's got to be a better way, there's got to be an easier way to do this, if there's like a reason why you're having that feeling, then it's probably true. There probably is a better way and something that's better for you and more suitable for you, because some people might really love the 9 to 5. Some people really probably love having not as much responsibility, like those service jobs. Like I really loved being a waitress. Like I only did that for about a year, but I loved that little service job where, you know, I didn't really have to worry about so much. I just got to connect with people and, you know, check things off a to-do list and go home, and that was kind of it. Like it was nice, but it was only nice for a period of time, and then I wanted to do something bigger, and that really lit me up, and that I really felt like I was making a difference and have more control of my life and feel like, you know, I was at home and living my life more than I was working. I feel like people get lost in, especially with what you mentioned about your son with daycare. Like I pet sit a lot, and there's one family I pet sit for where their poor girl is like locked in a crate all day because they're working their 9 to 5, and it's nice that they have somebody come over to, just poke my dog in the eye.
Speaking of dogs.
Yeah, my dog's here. See, like I totally agree with you, because I get to be able to spend time with my dog and do this with her while both of my parents are working their normal jobs. So it works out. It's worth it.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to share too, I recently just saw a reel from someone that I follow, and she had said, she was like, I don't know, what is it called? where you like look at another video and then you stitch. Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Is that, did I get that?
Yeah.
Am I up with the trends? So it was like a video of a woman saying, what would you prefer? Being a stay-at-home mom or making $200,000 a year? And, you know, corporate, whatever. So she chimes in, stitches in, if that's the word. And is that the word?
I think it's Stitch for Instagram, and I think it's Duet on
Okay,
TikTok.
got it. Okay.
I think it's the same thing.
Okay, so this was on Instagram. So, and she comes in, she goes, I've done both. She goes, but the 200, and she was saying she made even more, like over 200,000. And she's like, and I had someone cleaning my house. I had someone watching my kids.
Yeah.
I was paying these people to do things. She goes, was that easier? She's like, fuck yeah, that was easier. She goes, but is it more fulfilling now?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like, that was like a really aha moment for me. Like, I was paying someone else to watch my kids. And don't get me wrong, I still pay someone to watch my kids because I need that balance. I need the time to be able to work on this business. But I don't do it full time. And now my son's in kindergarten, so I don't have to pay for him. But I still have like a little bit of the balance of both.
Yeah.
But it's so much more rewarding being able to do all these things and still have an income on top of it.
Yeah,
too.
like why can't you have both?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can make 200,000 and be
Yep.
present.
Yep.
Just if you're, you know, doing a
You
service
hustle.
that's valuable and you hustle. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. That was my second one, was the life that photography and my business has been able to bring me, the schedule, having the flexibility, and just, you know, being able to live my life first and do my business second. You know, I feel like that's reversed in most people's situations, and I so appreciate that I'm able to live my life first and work second. But it breaks my heart that that's just the way that the world is, or the way that America is. Because other countries, if you look at, I think like Italy and some other countries, they have like 3-day work weeks, and they prioritize their lives first versus the hustle and bustle of America, 9 to 5, like hustle culture. And I think, I hope and I think that, you know, my generation and people younger than me are going to make a change.
Yep.
And are going
Breaking
to change that
mold. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's coming probably within our lifetimes, towards the end at least. But
One thing before you say your next one,
Mm-hmm.
we went to Italy for our honeymoon, and the culture that I felt there and what I've heard from people there and just other people is they work to live,
Yeah.
whereas we live to work.
yes, yeah,
And that was such like,
Yeah.
again, that aha moment where it's like, oh my God, you're right. Like everything we do is to make money to pay for things here.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I feel like now being the entrepreneurship, like, yes, it's rocky, it's up and down. Like I'm still in a slow season right now. Like it's very hard financially to be able to balance everything, but I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know that my crazy season is about to come. So I need to remind myself to like soak this in and just know that there are ups and downs financially of the entrepreneurship life, but that's the reason that I'm here, is to be able to have that, you know. Okay. So sorry, go to your
No,
number one.
I 100% agree with that. I think the slow life is meant for me to wake up slow, and like you said, let your body wake yourself up.
Yeah.
Read when you wake up, read when you go to bed. And if I worked until 7 o'clock, like when you used to come home after corporate and then have to do dinner for everybody and then go to bed, like that's what your whole life is just eating dinner and going to bed. Like that's so sad and not the way it should be. And if you're not happy with that, you have the power to change it. And that is my little inspiration tip for the day. My first thing on the list, my number one thing that I love, is my clients. XOXO. But seriously, it's true. Like it's a really fulfilling, valuable thing to be able to do what I do for other people and be able to stop time for them and document the biggest moment of their lives, and their whole story is accumulating to this one moment that their kids are going to look back on, their grandkids are going to look back on, their families are going to love forever. Like it's just such a valuable, like heartwarming thing to be able to be the person to do that for other people. And it's such an artistic thing too. Lately I've been kind of looking at it as like a live painter. You know how you see like live painters at weddings? I'm basically that, just post. Like I'm not live, but that's basically what I do. Like I make art out of their wedding.
Yeah.
And it's at one, it's a service, it's documentation of the day, but secondly, it is an art form. And so I really love that. And I really love that people want that and want the artistic and don't just want somebody to take pictures. Because I think that's the way that it was. Like for my parents, like, I don't know. I was looking at their wedding album a few months ago with them, and it just felt like pictures. You know, it didn't really, there were a couple shots like of my mom portrait like in the bridal suite that were really beautiful and really artistic and like so like that's my mom, you know? But like walking down the aisle and stuff, it was like the photos were crooked, like it was just a picture. So I don't know, I love that people are putting a stronger emphasis into their wedding photography and appreciating it more and wanting people that love what they do. And so that was my number one.
So I got married in 2016, and I feel like even then, and it's 2024 now, it's crazy, but even then in 2016, which is probably a long time after your parents got married, it was still the same way. Like, I feel like my photos are just photos. Like, I don't think I was ever trained as a bride to be, and I didn't know, and I was in the wedding industry, you know, even then.
Right, with corporate,
Yeah, and I was never trained to tell a story of your wedding. Like, I just was like, I need a photographer at my wedding. And there was no like art behind it, even for me. And looking back now, like I totally would have gone in a different route, but I didn't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we had the Pinterest-worthy wedding where it was like, we had the 10 and we had, it was all DIY.
Yeah.
Like that was big then still, which it still is now. But I just feel like I look back and like, I love salad. Salad is like my number one thing. And I like mentioned my photographer that, and like, there's not, we had a salad bar. There's like not even one picture of the salad bar on there. So it's like looking back and like, I wish like I had more creativity in my head to be able to tell her that. And again, like she was amazing. I loved my photographer and like we love our pictures. But
I've
like,
seen some of your pictures.
Yeah, but like it didn't tell the story to what you do nowadays. You know what I mean? But I feel like we weren't trained that. And I say trained, but like we weren't inspired by other people doing it the way you're doing it now.
And social media is probably a big part of that too. Like Instagram in 2017, when did it even come out? Like 2010 or something like that? Like video was probably just coming in.
Yeah, I don't even think it really was, because when I started my business, that's when reels were like, I didn't even have reels back then. So the videos weren't even there.
Yeah, it was a very different way. Instagram and Pinterest, even Pinterest has kind of stayed the same, but social media was very different back then. And maybe that's a big part of it, is like the training is like brides today, even before they're brides, are being shoveled this wedding content just because it's so epic, and they get it's like Pinterest today is now like wedding talk, is people seeing other people's weddings and turning it into an influential moment. There's wedding influencers that like once their weddings are over, it's like, what do we do now? Like my whole mentality was being a wedding influencer for the past 2 years. Like it's just funny, but that might be a big part of it, is like social media in 2017 was different than it is now.
Totally. But, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
No, I'm just feeling very like happy today. I met with a bride yesterday that just was so good. Like everything she described was exactly what I would want for my wedding, and was just so casual. And what she mentioned to me with her photography and what she was looking for, she was like, I don't have a time set for the wedding. Like, you tell me how long you feel like you need to be there, what time it should be. Like, I want it to be golden hour, but you tell me what's best. She's like, if we're there that day and you see it and you're like, now is the perfect time, we need to do it now. She was like, I will get people in their seats and we'll do it when you say. She was like, I don't care. We'll do it. That. And it's in a backyard of an Airbnb. Beautiful wall of windows. If it rains, we can move it inside. I think she said 20 people or so. Amazing. Yeah, and she's gonna have somebody come out and barbecue, and like it's gonna be a family picnic. Yeah, like that's what it's gonna be.
Oh, love that.
So anyway, just really stoked about that, and that those are the kinds of people that are finding me now, is the people that I feel like are really meant to find me. And it's just crazy that she was really passionate and excited to be talking to me, and I was like I was having like a meant to be moment. I was like, this is crazy. And it's just crazy that like that is my job and this is my life, is that I'm gonna show up to her wedding for 2.5 hours and I'm gonna go home and that's my job. Like that's crazy. Like I get to,
oh my gosh.
I get to do that. That's so wild. So
I love like the excitement that you have around it all, and
if,
like, yeah.
If you guys are not watching the video, I'm like kicking my feet over the couch.
Smiling
I'm so
ear
excited.
to ear, Joe.
So that was my number one. What's next for you?
So my next one, which I didn't really have an order, but I'm going to go off of kind of yours. So mine is building the relationships and inspiring others. So it kind of like ties in with yours. And two things, building the relationships with my clients has just been so amazing. Like I just, now I'm seeing like my clients who are having babies and like, just like, you know, starting their next journey. Yeah. And it's just like so amazing to like know that I was a part of their special day, and now I can still watch, thanks to social media, I can still watch like their next journey. And like I have couples that, or you know, just clients in general who will message me and be like, oh, like thought of you like having a margarita or
That's
like
so
something.
sweet.
And like they're like enjoying their downtime, thinking of me, like, and that just makes me feel so special. But on the other side of it, what I didn't think I was going to get out of entrepreneurship, and this started prior to this business when I was doing network marketing for Beauty Counter, which was during the pandemic, which was such a crazy time for everyone. And it was a time where I'm an extrovert times like 50. My husband is totally opposite, but I am like literally need to be around people, need to talk to people. If I don't have a conversation with someone every single day, like that's outside of my family, love my family, but like, you know, I see them in the morning and I need to be around other people. So the pandemic for me was like, oh my God, I have to sit in my house. Like I'm going to go crazy. Whereas my husband was like, oh my God, I love this. I get to chill with my family. Yeah. And I'm like, love you, bud, but I need other people around me right now. So anyway, the point I'm getting at is I was building these relationships online with my Beauty Counter team. And I was building not only with my team and not only with other Beauty Counter consultants, but I was also putting myself out there to build relationships with other people who I wanted to potentially share Beauty Counter with and share like why I love the product so much. And that built like this community that I never knew I needed at a crazy time where I wasn't seeing my friends or family. So that kind of sparked that community, then led into the entrepreneur world of having a small business to show what small business owners can do together. And that was where I started really networking with other entrepreneurs and having that like I have best friends now, like you and Devin and Liz, and like so many people that I've met through this business that literally you guys are stuck with me, but like we would have met if we didn't have our businesses. So it's crazy to see like the unfolding of what a business can do in like the bigger picture, and then to go into creating the big event with Devin and showcasing a space where entrepreneurs and business owners can come together in a unique way, but also building relationships with them. And then the third fold to it is being a public speaker. Like I had no vision of that. Like in corporate, I did like, even in college, I didn't mind presenting in front of the class. Like I would get nervous to go up there, but then when I was up there, like the nerves would go away. I would do my spiel and I would be fine. But I never thought that this platform would bring me to that. And I just had my first keynote speaker in December. And it was like, I keep saying aha moment. I feel like this episode is a lot of aha moments for me, but it was like that point in my business where I was like, wow, people were coming up to me after and being like, oh my God, what you said resonated with me and it totally inspired me. And my word last year was inspire. So like to have that 360 come around was just like, oh my gosh. And it was all because I started this little bar. But like, it's so much more than a bar. It's so much more than photography. There's so much more that we're getting out of this that I personally did not think I was going to get out of it. Like I thought I was going to get a side hustle income, support my family, leave my corporate job and be able to like survive. But it's so much more than that. Right? Don't you agree?
Yes, it is. It is. Like I did not think that this quickly or we would get to where we are, but same. Like, I don't know. I was like, if I get to photograph like one wedding a month, I'll be content. And now I'm like at 4, and it's just like, it's crazy, and I just want more and more and more of it. Before we hopped on the podcast, we were just having a little conversation about like next steps and what our plans are for the future, and how you just opened up your second trailer and you're thinking about what's next for you after that. And I'm like, it's the same for me. Like, I started video next year, and I guarantee you that next year, after this 2024, like in 2025, I'm probably going to be like, what's next? Like, I'm not satisfied. Like, I'm going to probably do film or something and be like, I need to do more. But I think that's just the way that our minds work, is that like we can't get enough of it because we love it so much. And I think that's so telling, that like if we didn't have this feeling of needing more and having to grow more and wanting to add in different things, if we didn't feel that way and we were like, no, we're content, that maybe, I don't know, maybe we wouldn't, maybe it's because we love it so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do want to get to a place where I am content. And I'm like booking at a certain number and that's it. And I'm not taking any more, and just be like content with that and have a good balance. 'Cause my word is balance this year. And just like have a good personal life and work life balance, and just, you know, cut and dry, kind of like that's it. But I'm also with you where I'm like,
are we
is
ever
that gonna
going
be
to
enough?
get there? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't, like I want to
know.
be there. Especially like later into life, maybe if I have, you know, if I like settle down with a dog and cats, and maybe I'll have goats or something like that. Like I want to set like get to a nice balance, but I'm also like, is it gonna be enough?
I know. We're gonna go to the grave and be like, did we do enough?
I know.
I truly look back and excuse me, and I think like I have all my grandparents still, which is crazy. At 35 years old, I still have all of my grandparents. Like, not many people can say that.
Yeah.
And like not many kids can be like, I have my great grandparents still.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I'm like, I call them at least once a week. I call one of my grandparents, my grandmother, I call every single day. Like I'm either with her or we talk every single day. But she's just the closest one to me. And my other grandparents, like I call at least once a week, if not 100%, like every 2 weeks. And I look back and I'm like, did I do enough to, you know, be there if God forbid anything happened? And I do. Like I make the effort to go see them. You know, we keep in touch. Like, you know, of course it's not going to be an everyday thing, but I do look back and I'm like, I put enough time in them with my kids. I put enough time in because I could with this business. Yeah. You know, I could spend more time in the pockets that I could and go see them and call them and pick up the phone. And it's like, you just don't want to live life with any regrets. And like, yes, we have the feeling of like, what's next, but I can look back and be like, okay, I did what I set my mind to and I accomplished that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
This is kind of a tangent, kind of a side note, but just want to chat about the grandparents thing, because I grew up with my great grandparents. We were just talking about this, that I grew up with my grandparents. They were my great grandparents. It was my mom's grandparents. Wow. Yeah, so wild. They had kids, and my mom's mom had her, both very young, like 18, 19. And so it just worked out that way, that like they were the same age as everybody else's grandparents, and they were my great grandparents. So that's so crazy. Like you know, your kids are growing up the way that I did and got to like see that longevity. All of my grandparents have passed, even just my grandparents, not my great grandparents. They've all passed. And so just those little moments of like making sure you call them like is huge, and they appreciate it so much, because I not just like saw them a lot, but I lived with them. And so I would see them like in person every day. It'd be like a 2-minute walk across the yard to see them. And as soon as my sister went away to college, like she was all like, that was all that my grandmother would talk about. She would talk to me and be like, how's your sister? How's Cassie? Have you heard from her? Like I haven't seen her in so long, because she went to Maine or Vermont. And you know, I'm sure checked in with her every now and then and whatever, but it was just different because she was physically like kind of far away. But like, so I can like vouch for them and say that like they think about you all the time, and for you to pick up the phone and call them, and them not having to seek you out, because they don't want to, I know for a fact, like
they don't want to bother
you. They know you have stuff going on, and they're retired and hanging out and doing that. They don't want to bother you. So I know that it's huge that you reach out to them once a week, twice, you know, whatever, however often it is. Like I know that means a lot to them. And I love that you're able to do that because of the vintage horse. And if you were still in corporate and you were just, you know, getting by and like living in survival mode, just you know, trying to pick him up from daycare and going home and that's it, and that's all you have time for. Yeah. Like, you can't call them at 8 at night. No. And you can't call them during the day at work.
And
so
like the energy level that I had back then, like, and I was younger. I mean, that wasn't that long ago, but I was younger and I only had one kid. Now I have two. And the energy level at that time, like the last thing I would want to do was talk to someone else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because I was just like defeated at that point. I was exhausted. My mental load was just like I mean, as a mom in general, your mental load is on overdrive 24/7 because it doesn't matter how many kids you have, even a mom dog, like you're thinking about someone else. Yeah. Like you know, you have this extra brain capacity to be able to think about other people, but it's just the last thing you think of is yourself too. But anyway, it's total tangent, but yeah, I'm just blessed that this business has allowed me to be able to be more present with my grandparents because they're in their mid 80s, like who knows how much longer. And, you know, it's a blessing to be able to spend that time with them.
And also a huge blessing when the time comes, knocking on wood, because I'm not trying to put anything into the universe, but that when that time does come and you need to spend every waking moment with them, you can.
I can.
You actually can. You don't have to call in to anybody. Nope. You can, even if you have an event, now you have this amazing team that can step up to the plate for you. God forbid anything happened. Like, you really have the power in your life to just be like, they need me and I'm going. Yeah. And no matter who it is, if it's like a best friend across the country, if it's a sibling, if it's a grandparent, if whatever the situation is, like it's so amazing that we get to have that. Yeah. That on a random Tuesday, if my friend's in trouble out in California, I can just, get on a plane tomorrow. Yeah. I love that so much. My third thing goes with yours is the people I've met, the friends that I've made, all of my small business friends, like have changed my life so much and taught me so much, especially because most of my small business friends are older than me, have given me so many cool like life lessons and things that I wouldn't have really thought about with business and without personal life too, just about relationships. And I've resonated with so many of you guys, and it's just crazy to imagine my life today without photography, but also without these friends that aren't just friends when I'm working with you guys, but friends on the side. Like, I could pick up the phone, talk to you, be like, I'm having trouble. Like, I know that you would answer, and even though it's not about work, that like you'd help me out. And it's the same with everybody else. So it's just like, it's crazy that you guys were here the whole time too. It's like, I've always lived in Connecticut. Like, you're right around the corner, and we would not have met if it hadn't been for this. And it's just crazy.
Oh, I love that. Funny, I was just talking to Liz with the Lucky Share, and I was telling her that now that I've used her content for things, and she has like a very professional, you know, thing that makes the camera not shaky.
The gimbal.
Yeah. And I was recording at our recent content day, and like literally my hand is like shaking the entire time, and I refuse to post any of the videos because it looks so bad, and like probably nobody else would notice that I'm noticing it the way that I am. Yeah. But I'm seeing how professional hers looks, and then I put mine in there, and I'm like, no. So I texted and I was like, I just have to give you a laugh, and I mentioned it to her, and she writes me back, and she tells me like the top 3 things to do right now when I start recording again. She's the best. And I'm like, I literally said to her, I go, I feel like I am like talking to the Secret Service, and you just gave me intel that I cannot tell anyone. And she's like, well, yes, don't tell. No, she didn't even say don't tell anyone. She was like, laughing about it. But it's just like, that's the secret juice. Like, you pour yourself into someone, and like Liz and I had a connection before she started her business, but like she didn't have to share that with me. Yeah. Like, I can hire her to learn those things from her. But like, because we built that relationship, and she joked, she was like, you send me the margarita recipes, I will send you the content details. And I was like, sold, like done. And it's just like, you know, going back and forth, like, yeah, you're sharing your tips and tricks that somebody would pay for, but you're doing it in an authentic way where like you actually want to help that person.
And you didn't even ask for it.
No, I didn't even ask.
You were just, oh, this is funny, I got to tell her. Yeah. And her reaction was, I need to help you.
Yeah. 100%.
So
and
nice.
It's like, those are the people that you want in your life. And those are the people that you want to keep around. And like, not saying like my best friends aren't amazing, but it's a different type of friendship now. Like we're in a work friendship, but we're doing it in a different way that I don't really talk about work with my friends because not that they don't care. Like we've talked about this before, but it's just a different mindset that we have, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but I also love that our work friends have evolved into something more. Like my, the girl that's helping me with my website, this is so funny. So she did my branding and that part is finished and now we're moving on to the website. And so we're having a consultation for the website chat, just talking about, you know, what we want it to look like, inspiration from other people's websites that I want to draw from. It was just like a discovery call kind of thing. And the call was like at 11 or something, and I knew that I had to leave at 11:30 or 10, and I had to leave at like 11:30 to go let out somebody's dog. And so when we got on the phone call, I was like, okay, it's gonna be an hour. I have an hour and a half. Like that's more than enough time. Before we know it, it's already been 30 minutes. We haven't even started yet.
Oh god.
Because we're talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is the book series that we were both reading. And I didn't even realize how much time passed. And I looked at the clock and I was like, Liz, I love you. I'm so sorry, but we really need to get to business because I only have 30 minutes now.
Oh my god.
Because we've been talking about our books this entire time. Oh. And it's so funny because she texts me a lot and sorry guys, my headphones are falling off.
I wish everyone could see Meghan right now.
Well, the camera turned off, and so I'm getting up to turn the camera back on, and my headphones fell out. Okay. Anyway, but we text a lot because one of the website, but two because of the book. But it's so funny. Every time her name pops up on my phone, I'm like, oh great, like news about the website, and then it's just like her update about the book. And
I love it.
Oh my god,
I love it.
It's just it's so funny.
Yeah,
it's just so funny. I love that the friends that we've made through work is like one with work and they'll help us with work like Liz, but also that I've made such close friends that like if a milestone like out of work happens in their life, like they'll call me. Like they'll call me to tell me about their life milestones. Like shut up.
Liz texted so Devin and I when she just got engaged.
Yeah.
And she sent us like a picture of the ring. And like I just felt so special that I was a part of that conversation. You know what I mean? Like she didn't even post it on social media yet. And for her to feel like she needed to tell me about it was just like, oh yay.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
Love that.
Right? It's just the best.
It is. All right. Am I on the next one? Am I are you up?
Those are my three.
Okay, perfect. I have one more. So the last one that I had, which was I guess my third, is, and I guess we've talked about this whole time too, but like having something of my own. Mm-hmm. So I was raised, and this is by no means like throwing shade to my family, but I was raised that you go to college, you get a job in your field of college that you learned and studied about, and then you climb up that ladder. Mm-hmm. Like that was just what my mom did, what my grandmother did, and I was solely raised by the two of them for the most part.
Hey, I mean, that's today's American dream.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's just like what we were told because that's what they did. Mm-hmm. And now like becoming a mom and being an entrepreneur as a mom, like I want my kids to do whatever they like. Yes, I do want them to get a good education and go to school, and I'm totally going in a tangent right now, but I'll spiral back around in a second. But I keep seeing like all these homeschooling lives and these people who are homeschooling their kids because the school system just isn't what they want. Right. And it's, someone referred the other day of a school, a hospital, and a jail all being the same. You're literally in four walls. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. And total tangent, but I think schools, even today, like schools are set up for like 1940s industrial revolution style like work. Like kids are not supposed to be at a desk not moving for 6 hours a day. Like that was prepping them to be on the factory lines. Like I think that, and I think this is true. I think if you Google this, I'm pretty sure this is true. Don't quote me on it, but look it up.
Do your research
first, but I'm pretty sure that the school is set up like that to put kids in rows to prep them to go work in factories.
Yeah. I mean, that totally, I don't know.
And it just never
but that
changed.
Totally makes sense. And like, I look back and My high school, I went to Newark High. My high school was built by the same person who builds prisons.
That's so weird.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it would always be like a conversation we had because the hallways were built so that there's no blind spots.
Oh.
So like when you're walking, you're not like going to bump into someone because there's no blind spots in any of the hallways. Like, wild. Anyway, we're going in a total
yeah, wait, how did we get here?
But I don't even know. Oh, talking about homeschooling with my kids.
Oh, yeah.
But, and I don't even know how we got there. But anyway, I don't even know how. I'm literally trying to get my brain back on track. But so my third was having something of my own. And then we went into homeschooling.
Now we're into prisons.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, anyway, let's scroll back.
Okay.
But I am just proud that I was able to build something. Okay, this is where it was. I'm proud that I'm able to build something of my own, and then I can now teach my kids that they really can do whatever they want. And, you know, and education is important. I think I have learned so much from my education. Not even, I did learn a lot in college, but not even just college, just like education in general. I do feel that it's important and you need it, but I also feel like kids should be going to the beach and kids should be going outdoors, and like, it's so hard to like see all of this happening on social media of like, you know, the school bus life, and people are literally, you know, taking their kids, but they're able to do it because they built something of their own that they can do that for. And like,
oh, you mean like van life, school
like
bus?
School bus.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
yes.
life on the road.
Yes.
Okay.
With kids though.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like the algorithm is now showing me more of this. Not that we talked about this on the last episode, and I don't think I could ever be that person to live on the road with my family. Like, I don't think that's in the cards for me, but I do feel that there is more to putting my kids in school for 8 hours or however many. Like, my son goes onto the bus at 7:56 in the morning and gets home at 3:40.
It's the same thing that we talked about at the 9 to 5 is that like your entire life is devoted to this thing, but it's like, for what? You're there to make money to live your life after, but you don't have a life out of work. Like, if you're at the point where you're working so much that you don't have a life out of work, then your work must be something you love. Otherwise, what's the point? Why are you making money off of it? Unless there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, my boyfriend's Bob. She worked at a federal prison. She was a counselor at a federal prison. Back to prisons. But she did that starting pretty young, like out of college, I think. And she's only, I don't even know how old she is. She's not 60 yet. I'm pretty sure she's mid 50s or 50. She's already retired. Wow. Because she grinded so much and worked so much that she was able to retire so early that now she gets to live the second half of her life blissfully, peacefully, and she's perfectly content and set up for the rest. So I think in a situation like that, 100% worth it. Grind, American dream, do it. But if your federal prison is Walmart, is a service job where you're not getting a pension, you're not setting yourself up for later, you're not making as much money, then you're not going to do that early retirement. You're never going to get there. You're not going to be able to retire at all. And so school is the same way. And I've only been out of school for, 6 years? And I hated it. I hated it so much. By the time I was like 16, 17, like halfway through high school, I hated my life so much. I was like, life has to be more than this. I'm just waiting for the minute that I graduate. And by the time after those like 2 years that I got to the point of graduation, I was so far gone that I was at like, what's the point of life? Not even just like school, but I got to the end of the tunnel and I was like, I don't even want to see the light anymore. I'm out of the tunnel at all, you know? Yeah. But like, it messes kids up that badly that like they're not supposed to be doing that. I was so burnt out from not even just academics, because I could have cared less, but like all my extracurriculars and everything. Like there was so much pressure that it was the same. I'd be going to school at 6 a.m. Coming back after,
because you were doing stuff in the morning. Yeah,
and after all the extracurriculars and whatnot. Well, no, my high school just started at 7 a.m. So I'd like be up at 6 to go to school that early.
Is it still like that now?
School starts at like 7:10, I think.
Stop.
And people that have an hour-long bus ride, sucks to suck. I didn't have that long of a bus ride, so it's all, you know, all depends. But what I'm trying to say is
that school bus life is looking a lot better.
Is that like, I hear what you're saying is that the way the school system is, like your kids are living the 9 to 5 that you hated.
Yeah.
And like that is the school system. And unless you homeschool or like we talked about, find a different way, and you're like, if this doesn't work for you, do something else.
Yeah.
Homeschooling, magnet schools, like something else. Like there are other options, and it's just deciding if like that's
a fit for you.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I know. You're the only one that can decide that.
Yeah.
And
it's totally.
It's up to you.
Yeah, but I know. Life is just crazy, but
yeah. big tangent.
That
but
was a big one. But I feel like it was what we needed to kind of talk about today.
Yeah.
So to wrap up today's episode, went in lots of different directions, but I truly feel that entrepreneurship for me is a gateway to so many opportunities. Like that's kind of where I'm going to put it. And I feel like I'm not going to share anything, but Meghan and I were chatting before, and like I have all these other ideas that I want to like put in, but they just come randomly. Like I literally woke up at 4:00 this morning. My husband and I, for whatever reason, could not sleep. He was up too. And we went back to bed, thankfully. But like all these things were just because I'm in a phase right now in business and in life where like a lot's going on. And I was talking to someone the other day about like multitasking and trying to, do your daily tasks. And right now I feel like my daily tasks are so overwhelming that I just don't want to do any of them. Have you ever gotten to that point?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm there right now. And the more people I talk to, like they're confirming that they're the same way, or like they've had moments like that or whatever. And I'm like, how do we get out of this? So I started thinking of like more positive things instead of negative, like retraining the thought process I was having. And I think that goes into a lot of like manifestation and setting goals. And I hired that coach recently to really help me with all of this. And she is, but at the end of the day, it's me putting in the work. You could pay all this money for anyone, but if you're not willing to put in the work yourself, like nobody's going to do it for you. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about being fulfilled in your own life, but you have to put in the work to be able to feel that way. Like back to Beauty Counter, I had to put in the work. Like nobody was doing it for me. Nobody was buying the products if I was not telling them about it.
Right.
And that's the same thing with your business. Like nobody is going to buy your business if you are not talking about it. So I feel like, to wrap this in a bow, there's so many positives, but you just have to make it happen at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you have to love it. And we're so blessed that we love what we do. And I keep saying like not to knock the corporate world, but I think most of the listeners on here are not from the corporate world. So I think we can knock it a little bit. But I loved my job in corporate too.
Yeah.
But seeing this, I think this is why we started this podcast, to tell you that there is so much more than the 9-to-5 hustle and the 9-to-5, like you say, like America trained you to be like this. And I do think at least in New England and Fairfield County in general, like I feel like what we were trained.
Yeah. It's really sad, but that's the way that the world works unless your version of screw this, I'm out here is an entrepreneurship, and maybe it's a different country and maybe it is the 3-day work week or
Let's
something
go to Italy.
else. Italy. I would love Italy.
Where would you go if we're going to wrap this up soon? So if you're still listening, thank you. But if you had to go, you probably going to say Alaska.
Alaska's not a different country though.
I know, you're right.
A different country. I'd probably say like Italy.
You would?
Or maybe like New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Or something like.
Have you been there?
No, but I want to. Something that's like really small, quaint, and like self-sufficient like that.
I have been to Italy and I've been to Greece, and I feel like Greece, I couldn't live there. I like would never get work done because I would just look at everything. It's so beautiful. The food is just, oh my God.
Ooh, okay. Adding Greece to my list.
In Milford, there's a little tiny restaurant right on the water called the Greek Spot.
Okay.
And it's literally just reminded me of Greece. But anyway, I would definitely say Italy.
I would say Italy too. I would say Italy because of the slow life and how they prioritize their lives, and they have like
enjoy life.
Yeah, don't they have? Oh no, that's a siesta. That's probably South America somewhere.
No, it's called something else. Yes,
but they have that where like even if you are during your work week in schools, the kids go home. Yeah. They don't just have like lunch in a cafeteria at school. They like go home, right?
I don't know about that,
but maybe that's the way it used to be. I don't know.
We tried to go to like a coffee shop one day at like, I don't know, 3:00, 2:00, whatever it was. And like they were closed. Yeah. And it was like be back at whatever. And they would go home and like they would drink wine and like enjoy life.
Yeah. Yeah. I would eat up Italy. I love wine. I love pasta. I love bread.
Yes.
I would love Italy.
So much fresher. Like, oh.
Yeah.
God.
Priorities are straight in
If I
Italy.
could maybe that's my long-term goal, is to create another business where I can do everything remote and we could just pick up and go to Italy.
Okay.
Long-term goals. Here we go. Here we go. What I told you about before. Maybe we could do it with that.
On the vintage horse, but instead it's on a boat.
Okay, well, there are booze boats, so it could be a thing.
Ooh.
There's one in Milford. Here.
Well, that makes sense because
Yeah.
Milford is on the water. And
Yeah.
probably like a lot of dock parties and things like that.
So anyway,
That's cool.
Lots of tangents today, but I think this was a really fun episode.
This was a nice, like, come to our roots, kind of like a little bit about us, not really a topic of like learning, we're not like sharing any information, just like about me and Jen. So
And you're not
I'm
alone.
Megan, Jen.
I'm Jen.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in today, and we will see you soon.
All right. Cheers.